Welcome to Cosmic Wishes, where we turn wishes into cosmic wishes by adding science. Today's guest is Beth Beyer. Hi, I'm so excited to welcome Beth Beyer. I was on Beth's show, maybe 2 years ago. It's been quite a while. And it's so much fun to bring her here. She is just such a lovely person and has so much to say and so much to do and always learning and exploring and has these beautiful visions on the world. And I'm going to let her introduce herself so she can tell you what she wants you to know about her. But I just want to thanks for being here and thanks for being here, Beth.
Thank you for having me, Burnell. You're wonderful, and I really appreciate the opportunity. It's my honor to be here. What to say about me? Several hats, nurse, attorney, rabbi, and spiritual hypnotherapist is my current work, which is like the most fascinating of all of that. I still do little pieces of each of those. As a nurse, working with a spiritual hypnotherapy, taking people to the spirit world on a regular basis. So that's the kind of fun thing. And delighted to be here on your show today.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So, and what we do on the show is basically we help people take their wishes and turn them into cosmic wishes by applying science. And we've got a process and everything, but I just wanted to do an introduction, especially with a guest like you, who people who watch me sometimes will go, okay, she knows her science, she's into the science. I also love to get into the metaphysical, and I love, in my book I cite over 70 different scientists. And there are some sciences that are kind of in what they'd call the fringe or, that kind of world. And I also make sure I leave room for what I call cosmic collaboration. And that is knowing that there are forces beyond us that are helping us and that are part of this thing. So a lot of times when I draw a card, it might say spiritual or metaphysical. And some listeners might be, what? I don't want that. I want the science. And that's okay because usually that also has a scientific explanation. And
Brunel, I have to say, your book is thoroughly researched, very well done. Beautifully written, and I really have enjoyed it. I've only like just begun, like, the first part of it, but really I find this such a refreshing, direct way of speaking. So nice book, nicely
thank
done.
you. Thank you. Yeah. So it's fun to get with sometimes I talk to very heavy science people who aren't into the woo-woo, and then sometimes we get into the woo-woo, and I love all of it. I think it's especially fun to look at how science can apply to all kinds of wishes, no matter where they come from. So basically what we do on the show is we start with we'll talk to you about your wish. And I know you've been thinking about it, so I think we've got some clarity there. But I have 200 science cards. So we're going to select a science card and we're going to apply the science card to your wish. And we're going to see what science pops up as far as helping you manifest your wish. And then after that, we're going to do, I've got this huge wad of what I call activity cards, and we're going to draw an activity card and apply that to your wish.
Okay,
So
that's
that's the
awesome.
process. And usually you can have a wish that's personal or professional. You can have a wish, what I call a wish that ripples, that affects other people. Or you can have something called a whimsical wish that, might some people might think, oh, that's out there, but then that's sometimes that those become very powerful and actually become much more real than what we think. So, how would you like to tell us your wish?
And Ripple. And my wish would be that the presence of extraterrestrials is known and acknowledged throughout the world.
Okay. So, can you indulge me in a little bit of reframing before we get
Okay.
into the science? Is because I one of the times about with a wish like that, and you can totally push back. So, I mean, that's what that makes it interesting and fun. Um, is that maybe it would be the positive and helpful presence instead of just the presence?
Well, I don't think that there's any downside or negative. So I would side with Dr. Stephen Greer, who's been in this work for over 30 years, saying that if they're here, they're positive. If they weren't, if they were hostile, it, we would not still be on the planet, is basically that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that because if people listening, they go, yeah, well, we've seen enough, movies and everything else with, we don't necessarily want this alien invasion and have, Sigourney Weaver have to get out her trucker or mover or whatever, and it is interesting. I don't know about you, but I'm completely obsessed with Project Hail Mary. So that's such a beautiful example of aliens and how other life can be. So I wanted you to set up your framework for the positivity of that because I know you and I know you're in this, you just have this beautiful energy and this beautiful positive perspective and energy. So I want to anchor that, but I want my listeners to also know that, right? So that when they're saying this, that if they're wishing along with you, that we can wish for this assistance, love, gift, awareness,
Yes.
support,
Right.
whatever what we can get so that we're all wishing for the same thing so that we don't have anybody wishing against you, I guess is what I'm saying. And
You,
seeing
you,
the dark side of the force, as somebody said they wanted to learn the force. I said, only if it's the light side of the force.
Well, that's an interesting perspective. I hear you, Brunel, that there are people who do, whether it's with regard to ETs or otherwise, who often live in fear. It's unfortunate, but that is the reality of our current world. And in my vision, reality experience, we can only experience the frequency that we are. So as a result, whatever is there is, we either have it to learn from, some positivity, and it's our choice on our perspective. With regard specifically to ETs, I feel like even though, yes, I grew up, watching Star Trek and all of that, and learned, morals and ethics,
Yeah.
first contact, the prime directive, all of those pieces from those kinds of shows. Yet, I think that if this were known worldwide, the scientific and medical advances would be huge. That we are at a loss for what could have been decades earlier, but wasn't. And there's just so much there. Our environment is desperately calling, Mother Earth needs a little help here. And all of those pieces, advanced civilizations certainly have worked those details out. We've yet to do that. We're working on it, but we could certainly use the support. And in terms of a shared identity, there is a lot of factions, chaos, difficulty that is present in the media. And I think that a unified humanity with a global planetary identity would be one way to really unite us in a positive way.
Well, and that's honestly one of the big reasons why I'm doing exactly what I'm doing is that because I talk about, what a cosmic wish is, right? And a cosmic wish is a wish when you apply science. And it's also more than that because it is, like I say, the wishes should be peaceful, positive, and purposeful. And so that's a really important thing to be looking at. And then the power of ability to take our energy from this lower level stuff that we might be experiencing and to rise up. And the more we can wish positively, peaceful, positive, and purposeful together. And I even have something called the Cosmic Wish Experiment where people can collectively have the same wish and be wishing the same thing. There's just imagine what we can do if we all started wishing in a positive direction.
Absolutely. I think that a collective intention has a huge impact. Yeah.
Yes,
Lynn
right.
McTaggart's and in fact, I think you even cite her.
I
Lynn
do.
McTaggart, amazing work with regard to prayer, 5,000 people and how that decreases the incidence of crime in a city. Wow.
Right.
Amazing. Yeah.
Right. And it's tapping into something. So that's, that so I wanted to help frame that because I wanted people to understand. you and your beautiful soul, and knowing what you intend, and want to make sure that people watching or listening are aligned with that, so that they can be kind of seeing what your wish is. So, um, drawing a science card. Any idea which one you want me to pick?
Do I get to pick?
Yeah,
I get to pick? How
yeah.
exciting. Okay, pick the top one, please.
This one right here. Is
That would
that
be
the
the
top?
top one, yes.
Okay. These are not in order, just so you know. This is number 112. Just so it's not
Okay,
like
I
you
believe
pick.
you. You shuffled the deck. Good for you.
Yeah, it's not. Well, I don't know. They go all over the place. That's totally an idea of where my brain goes all over the place. So do my cards, I guess, in this one. So this one is social psychology and biology. So it has we have the sciences kind of at the top. And this is called the oxytocin connection. Collective
Love.
wishing isn't just emotional, it's neurochemically powerful. Claremont's Paul Zak, known as Dr. Love for his oxytocin research, found that prosocial behavior, including shared rituals and meaningful storytelling, releases oxytocin in immeasurable amounts. The bonding hormone literally flows when humans wish together. Your wish circle is a chemistry lab. Use it. So that is really powerful for your wish. Tell me what your impression is before I tell you what I.
With regard to that, yes, oxytocin. I mean that is the one, mother nursing baby. That's the classic, right? So in terms of how that would impact all of us, there are so many people in the whatever you want to call it, UFO, cosmic disclosure community, Facebook groups, otherwise, who are so wishing for this. Not just me. I mean, there are literally like thousands of people across the globe and like from every corner of the globe. So I find it wonderful that we are really still in the process of this. And speaking of movies, as you said, Disclosure Day for Steven Spielberg is June 12th coming up.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough about that to know too much about what it's about. But like I said, Project Hail Mary, I was obsessed with the book, and saw the
Right.
movie and on the
Uh-huh.
theater, and I got it on video. And there is just it's such a beautiful story about what we can do when we work together. And one of the things that I love the most about that particular story is that Rocky, if you haven't seen it, no,
No
everybody knows at
spoiler
least
alert.
this part. Well, this part is not a spoiler, but it's just this,
Okay.
to me, the message. I mean, because I think if you've seen the previews or anything, you kind of know that there's a character named Rocky.
Yeah.
Is that we just mentioned, ETs. I mean, that's not too much of a spoiler, but it's in the trailer. Is this beautiful, trusting energy, like pure trust. There is no fear. There's playful judgment, like, why do you left your place a mess or whatever. But there's this beautiful trust. And I think that that is something, if you're thinking about what world you want to live in, do you want to live in a world where beings just have this inherent trust? Or do you want to live in a world where people are throwing people under the bus and, you know,
Right.
and causing problems?
And
So
you're right that in that movie, the character development is so wonderful about how the trust between the two of them grows during the course of the movie. And I love the ending. I won't say it, but I just love the ending. Okay,
I
so
was so hoping the ending would stay the same as the book, and it pleased me very much what was done. So, and this is a really, I mean, it sounds like we're off on a tangent, but this card is about
yeah.
storytelling and telling stories, and even being on this show. And I know you said, "Are you sure, Brownell, you want me? Because this is what I want to wish for." Yeah,
Right?
I really want to go there because this is where I'm going. I'm like, bring it on. And I love the fact that, I've got fans and followers that are strict science, 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 science. Well, I mean, come on, even the best scientists say when you look at the billions of billions and billions and trillions of planets and star systems and everything else, it's obvious there has to be life somewhere. I mean,
Exactly. Right.
it just would be so counter scientific to think there wouldn't be. It's just math. I mean, it's just basic math. And so and the idea of this, and I know there is so much more communication and so much more people believing this. And so the stories that we need to tell need to be in alignment with that. right? They need to be in alignment with the beauty and the potential and what we might need from other realms, whatever those other realms are, however we might define that.
As a spiritual hypnotherapist, my clients often are in other worlds,
Right.
right?
Right. And
So we
it's
take
funny.
people to spirit world and you like often they're alien worlds. So we are multidimensional beings, and I think we're all sort of just figuring out what that means. And since all time is now, where our awareness is, that's where we are. So it's an interesting life. It really
Yeah,
is.
it is.
Much
And there's
potential.
and it is interesting because I've known some hypnotherapists who say, no, people don't have lives on other planets. And just for those of us, I write reincarnation books, so I love getting into those kind of theories and visions and everything else in my storytelling. Again, storytelling, because of one of the reasons I do is I like opening people's minds. And I don't feel like I have to prove anything. I just have to show you what's
Sure.
possible and let people decide what doors they want to open.
Right.
And some say, oh, there's no, no life on other planets, and some say, oh, I experience it all the time. And I think that's a perfect example of that, you see what you're willing to see and what you're open
Right.
to seeing. And I know that inattentional blindness is that whole theory of you can't see it. If you can't see it, you can't see it, right? You
Right.
and
Right.
I think the story is like of Columbus coming over and the natives not being able to envision there could be a ship coming. I mean, they just couldn't see it because it just they had no framework reference, so they just blocked it. And I think we can be blocked to that. And the same is true with looking at however we define alien life. I mean, because I guess that's one of the questions I just want to ask within this framework of what you're looking for is, when people say ETs or extraterrestrials, um, there's the implication that it is a being that travels from another planet to here.
And that
Um,
could be. And
and
there,
I guess the
you know,
question is, there's more than that, more options
right.
than that, right? It
Sure.
could be people who just had other lifetimes on other planets who decide to be born here. So give us a little bit of frame that because I just want to open again. I want to open people's minds a little.
In terms of a wish, the fact that the government has kept this secret for decades, 75 years or whatever, to allow that transparency, I think would build trust within our systems. So people are distrustful, it seems, particularly these days. And
Yes,
I think that that would be one of the reasons. What the beings, certainly there are beings that if you only need to listen to 28 seasons of Cosmic Disclosure on GaiaTV.com to know, oh my gosh, when you hear one person, you go, maybe, yeah, I don't know. 10 people, okay, it seems more plausible. 20, 30 people all saying the same thing, maybe in a little bit different way, very trustworthy kinds of witnesses. You're like, all right, okay, I'm in.
well,
And
and thank you for that
that's
because
kind of
that's
it. Yeah.
exactly what this card is about, right? Is about the bonding and the oxytocin for sharing the stories. And when people feel comfortable sharing their stories, and I hope everybody checks out Beth and what she's doing and starts exploring this because then you have more stories and tell us your stories in the comments and all those kinds of things. Like, where are you? And if you think we're crazy, that's okay too, right? It's all
Right.
okay to because that's where trust builds is when people feel free to say their crazy ideas and people feel free to say I think that's a crazy idea. you know
Right. No judgment. Everyone has their own journey. It's a choice. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I mean I think that that's the point really is in this is this the only thing that's in here that's an addition that might be worth mentioning is with your wish, I think you've got community, you've got other people that are wishing and that you've joined that and they can join you. You can even start a wish circle within our cosmic wish experiment if you want and have, more people join you and do it. The thing that I would add that I think would be especially fun is a ritual. And
Sure.
that there would be something that you can do every day that reminds you to make the wish that you can share with others. And it could be like I had somebody whose wish was something about love, and their child, the 5-year-old, was like, well, mommy, you're really into, mirror balls, and those mirror balls, like the disco balls. And I said, yeah, wouldn't it be lovely if your ritual was every time you see a mirror, you make your wish,
Oh, that's
right?
beautiful. You
Right?
know, there
So,
is at the risk of like being so like transparent here,
yeah.
there is an app called CE5, which is literally developed by Dr. Stephen Greer, who was an ER doc who has spent now decades and decades um, assisting in this project. There's music on it. There are knickknacks like you can purchase in terms of you have to go look at the app. But essentially, he uses a puja, which is like a gate opening, frequency building kind of prayer. It's in Sanskrit. I cannot repeat it, but there's recordings of him doing this kind of thing. So thank you for that idea. I love the ritual idea.
Yeah,
Cool.
so it can
I'll
be
have
a
to
time.
ponder that.
It could be
Yeah.
a time on the clock, or maybe it's because it's an app. Maybe it's every time you see your phone or something. And then if everybody is doing the same thing, either at the same time, or, it's the first star of the night, maybe you're looking into the night sky, wondering,
Oh,
what could
yeah.
be visiting, whatever that could be, that really does a few things from a scientific standpoint. It's anthropology, it's our history, it's part of our DNA to make wishes using rituals. And then it's the oxytocin, it's the bonding, it's the connecting, knowing that you're not the only one making that wish, that other people are making that wish, and more people can be making that wish.
Yeah.
And then you start triggering your brain to look for those signs, the things you didn't notice, or the opportunities. I have to tell you my own ET story.
Please.
Um, and that is when I was in high school, and I was with 4 friends, and we were driving back from school one day. So it was in the afternoon, beautiful sunny day. We all look up in the sky and we see something. And we're like, what is that? I mean, and all 4 of us got out of the car and stood and just stared at whatever this was. I mean, we knew it was something extraterrestrial. There was not even a question. It wasn't like, oh, it's some sort of science. We had a knowing that it was that.
Did did it look like a sphere or a ship or
It probably was more like a ship of some kind, right? But it kind of hovered, and it was, in a distance. But the most profound thing wasn't even what it looked like, and the fact that it didn't move, or, for a while, and is just that we knew. All of us
right?
knew.
There's a
Well,
there's a frequency, there's a feeling, right? I
there
mean,
was
there's
something
actually
I mean, we
a
got out of our
resonance.
car and we stared, and so fast forward, maybe, well, I think it was 30 years. Fast forward to 30th high school reunion. And I see a friend that was with me. She was one of the 4. And this is no judgment, but our lives, I went to a much more open-minded life path, and she
Uh,
went much to a much more narrow, very strict religious life path. And I see her, and one of us mentions that experience, and she still remembers it as being an extraterrestrial. Like, she still felt that feeling. It wasn't like it got programmed out of her, or like, oh no, I've rationalized that, or no, it didn't happen. I mean, it was like she still had that feeling. And I just thought that was so interesting that it stuck with us,
for decades, right?
for
For
decades
decades.
and decades. And yeah,
Yeah.
that was a long
It
time ago. So
Interesting that religions are anticipated to be more open-minded than in the past with regard to this question. There's actually surveys out there on this. Who knew? But yeah,
yeah, well,
according to the science,
yeah,
social
yeah.
science, but
Well,
yes.
again, the science is so interesting. So yeah, and there was kind of like, I mean, there's a bonding with her, that we had this experience, and we all
Right.
remembered it. And who knows what it was? I can't, prove anything or disprove anything, except that we all had this knowing. I mean, it was, and even this many years later, we just knew that's what it was. I mean, we just knew.
Super cool.
And
And so
so,
many people have. It's the government had done a very good job of the psyop saying, "Oh, it's just bunk. Oh, it's your imagination. Imagination's real. It's a thing."
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. And then again, the whole thing about people having other lifetimes. If I mean, to me, reincarnation is a logical explanation.
yeah,
It's easier to prove by science than it is to disprove because
that's
it it,
true.
it,
There are
it
actually books,
yeah,
yes, with regard to reincarnation stories. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, and Judaism has no problem with it, just saying.
I know. Judaism was big into, it, especially like 2,000 years ago, shall we say?
There you
I think
go.
it was well, and also if you go back in Socrates, Plato, Aristotle,
Vol-
all believed in it,
Voltaire,
and they
right?
all fall
Yeah.
in Voltaire, of course, that was many years, but they all follow Pythagoras, and Pythagoras was really one of the first believers. And just as a little FYI, Pythagoras is a character in my
Your book.
novels, my We Meet Again novels. Yeah, so I go into Pythagoras. I have a special place in my heart for Pythagoras. Very, very cool studies and very, very cool stuff. And so, but the point I'm making is that, the people listening here, I did a show called Cocktails and Conspiracies, and I told them, they said something about ETs, and I said, I'm doing a show on ETs, and they're like, we're watching, we're going to share that show. Um, is
Awesome.
is that it's the idea of open your mind, and that one of the things about all the thing about wishing science and brain science is that when you do, you start seeing things you didn't see before. And so, and then when you share those stories and share them with others and do podcasts and have people tell you and be able to risk being think people thinking, okay, she's out there, fine, I don't care. And if you disagree and want to make comments and say I'm crazy, good. I mean, like I would rather have that than quiet, right? I think that's what
Yeah,
you don't want quiet
absolutely.
anymore. You want it out there. So,
Absolutely.
okay. So let's pick an activity on your, so again, I have, I always feel like Julia Roberts in that movie where she has the money and it's like, here's my big wad of money. Like these cards are flowing all over the place. Any,
Let's see. Pick for me, Brunel. Something in the middle.
okay, I'm going to dig deep and let's see what it is. Okay, so this is neuroscience and psychology. So those are the sciences we're doing there. Reframe your prediction is the title of the activity. Your brain isn't seeing reality, it's seeing its predictions about reality. What's one story you're running about yourself or your wish that might be wrong? Statements like, I can never, or I'm not the kind of person who, and write it down. Then write the opposite vision. So you're seeing both sides of the story. Notice which one your brain is currently confirming. You get to choose what your brain looks for.
That is true. Absolutely. Well, my prediction would be, wait a second, we're having this movie, ET disclosure, like ET presence is just going to happen like next week. Okay, maybe I'll reframe. I hear 2027's popular.
Well, there is a lot of talk about it, and in a way, some people are like, okay, this takes us as a distraction. In a way, it's a distraction. Like we kind of need a distraction. The thing that I loved about this card for you is that it totally doesn't apply to you because you're clear, right? You don't need to see the other side. It totally applies to other people as they're listening, right?
All
Um,
good.
and it's a way of helping. So it's more of an activity like, okay, what would it mean if it didn't happen? What it would mean if I'm wrong? What if I do tell my family tonight at dinner, hey, by the way, I saw this show and I think that this might be something here, and I'm going to look for signs and then think, what's the worst thing that can happen? They tell you you're crazy. Well, here's two women. You can call us crazy. We don't care. And, at the end of the day, Beth, what you want and what probably all of us want is we want hope, we want solutions, we want unity, we want trust, we want to help overcome some of these challenges that we're seeing on this planet. I do believe that we see problems sometimes we can see problems and that's all we see, and we get caught in that lower level energy. And sometimes we see problems because we're here to solve them. Uh,
Agreed, agreed. And I think a lot of it really is on our shoulders. We may get assistance from our big brothers and sisters,
yeah.
yet we have the responsibility and obligation to help humanity.
Right. And so sometimes I got in a debate with somebody many, many moons ago about the whole idea of innovation, and that innovation, maybe not always, but for the most part, does stem from some level of dissatisfaction. I can make this better. I can, this is great, but I can make this better. Or I have this problem, I can solve it. And one of my favorite authors is Mark Manson. And one of my number one favorite quote from him is, happiness is solving problems. And so, and I think that would be a fun thing to meditate on too for people with regards to your wishes. Think of all the problems that they might be able to help us solve.
Right. A collaboration, really. That's kind of what my wish would be about. They're not going to rush in and save us. It's on us. Like we got ourselves into whatever mess we've got. We need to work on it. But I think that if the technologies, medical, scientific, pharmacological, ecological, they're like right there. We just, need that information that's in the military industrial complex to be worldwide. We should not have people who are going hungry. We should not have people who don't have clean water. That should not exist on this planet ever, anywhere.
Right. And we do have those solutions, and some of them are, I mean, it's unbelievable, especially the more I get into the science, but just the things that we're learning and experiencing every day. And, maybe the biggest solution of all is making sure that we have the model for the openness and the honesty and the support we need from our leaders to to trust us with that information, and also that we can have
Right.
people that we trust, right? That don't have aren't selfish and want it for their own material gain or their own power or control. And so whatever event, if you ask me, whatever event can happen, whether it's some crazy person doing a podcast about cosmic wishing, or a whole party of ETs coming down, or the whole big group of people saying, I lived on this planet in another lifetime, I did too, and starting to share all of that. Whatever it takes, that can get us to bond and to feel that power that we have, and
Creating
make
that space of open minds. I heard a really interesting quote the other day. Samuel Johnson says, "The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they're too strong to be broken."
yeah. And that's what really, I mean, that's what, in terms of my whole cosmic wishing, is, you know, the ritual brings in the neuroplasticity. It rewires your brain to look for that. If you all know about the reticular activating system, which I talk a lot about, and I talk about in my TED talk, how our brain starts looking for those answers and those solutions. And then we have what's called the default mode network, when our brain is sort of turned off and another part turns on, and we're open to communication and messaging and hypnotism and all of that, and the hypnagogic state and all those things that open us up to, like, I always talk about myself when I'm creating, is that I feel like I'm like this specialized radio that's tuning into a frequency, but that frequency is out
Right.
there for all of us.
Exactly. The field is there. And, we go into that hypnagogic phase every time we wake up, every time when we go to sleep. That alpha theta brainwave is right there. Whether
Yeah,
we're driving down the highway and we missed our exit, or we're waking up or going to sleep. So, yeah, and that is really where we get those downloads, that information. You're
that
right.
is.
You're
And
absolutely right,
and that's
Brunel.
a big part, of course, what you're doing when you can guide people through that, and in a way that is allowing them, is guiding them in, so that they can have a direction, and also allowing them the openness to come up with, oh wow, this came up, or to plant hypnotic seed or
Suggestions.
whatever.
I
You know.
I don't do suggestions. It's all I do is ask questions. Just saying.
Well, I would just say I would say that it would be interesting to offer suggestions saying and that you'll start seeing signs for this and you'll see reinforcement for this, right? Because that does the brain says, "Oh, okay, you gave me permission." and and our subconscious is seeing, billions of bits of information a second, whereas our conscious is only seeing a fraction. So then you can be open to that. So that would be
Yeah,
the only suggestion I'd say is that you're going to see the signs that it's happening
they're
with.
absolutely kicking the habit of being ourselves in frequency.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I knew we would have a ton of fun, and I think these are really interesting cards. Did you like your cards?
I do. Thank you. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. This is way fun, and I didn't know what to expect, and except I knew that if it was you, it would be wonderful and
Uh,
magical. So thank you.
yeah, I find it really fun, and just so people know, you keep watching, and you can actually download a what I call a play sheet, not a worksheet, but a play sheet, with these cards, and so for your own wish, you can kind of apply that and make some notes on these sciences as well. So
Beautiful.
anyway, well, thank you so much. I'm just thrilled to have
Thank
you
you.
here, and of course, I always love chatting anyway. So I'm glad to catch up. And thanks, everybody. Please tell us what you think. Give us your comments. Tell us we're crazy if you want. We're okay with that. And maybe if you start seeing signs,
Join the wish circle.
join our wish circle. That's right. Yeah, build that oxytocin. Okay,
There you
thanks
go.
so much. Bye.
Bye now.
Thanks so much for joining us. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. Want to learn how to make cosmic wishes yourself? Maybe teach others? Comment below for information about our Cosmic Wishes class.